Thanks for stopping by to watch my analysis of A Clockwork Orange, a film written and directed by Stanley Kubrick and based on Anthony Burgess' 1962 novel of the same name. I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel, The Godfather of Cinema. In A Clockwork Orange, take note of how all of Alex's actions are based on his impulses, like the impulse he gets to beat up the tramp under the bridge, the impulse he gets to beat Mr. Alexander and his wife in their home, and the impulse he gets to have sex with two girls at the music store. All of these impulses are associated with activities that make Alex feel good, and therefore he acts on these impulses without thinking about the consequences to himself or to others. Can we be good on our own, or do we need to be punished or watched in order to be good?
For crime is death.
Living with his parents, Alex is a free man with no sanctions. He has the freedom to be either bad or good. However, instead of exercising his freedom to be good, he attacks a homeless man. He attacks Mr. Alexander and rapes the man's wife. Left on our own with no sanctions, we generally avoid things that are good, such as nice guys, because things that are good for us involves thinking. In the first act of A Clockwork Orange, Alex is left on his own without any rules, penalties, or oversight compelling him to be good. His parents don't punish him for staying out late or skipping school, nor does society punish Alex. Not right away, at least. But after murdering the cat lady at the health farm, Alex is sentenced to prison, where all of his freedoms are taken away, and he is forced to control his natural impulses. In prison, he now has to think before reacting, as he is now punished for impulses which used to make him feel good. The carefree and comfortable life he enjoyed with his parents is replaced by a life that is restrictive, hard, and unnatural. Having grown accustomed to expressing himself without any opposition or restrictions, Alex, who is attracted to pleasure and comfort as a fly is attracted to a pile of hot manure, is now forced to be good.
Stop it, please, I beg you!
He is told where he can and cannot go, when he can and cannot speak, and what time he is to be in and out of bed. Prison strips him of the freedom he once enjoyed on the outside and forces him to be good, whether he wants to be good or not. Alex Delage does not choose to be good on his own until both prison and the Ludovico experiment forces him to be good. For the problem with putting criminals in prison where they are punished by others is that the punishment system upon which prison operates affirms the necessity of immoral vices as survival within both prison and the environment which created the criminal depend upon the same immoral vices by necessity. Therefore, the only way to reform the criminal, to make the streets safe, and to save the state money is to automate the impulse to be good by implanting a pain-inducing mechanism inside of the criminal mind, which will force the criminal to act good on his own, independent of the environment. For instance, a gathering of VIPs in an auditorium at the Ludovico facility witnessed the first demonstration in which a man comes out on the stage and insults Alex, then slaps him, then pulls his nose, then pushes him down to the floor, and then orders him to lick his shoe. Alex wants to fight back. However, the pain induced by this impulse to fight back forces Alex to lick the man's shoe. The man leaves the stage and is replaced by a beautiful woman, naked from head to toe, and Alex is immediately aroused. However, the pain induced by his impulse to touch her naked body forces Alex down to the floor. And as Alex does good only when he is forced to do good, Dim, Georgie, and Pete play sycophants to Alex and obey him as long as he has the power to hurt them. However, after Alex undergoes the Ludovico treatment, the power pendulum swings from Alex to Dim and Georgie. Once sycophants under Alex, Dim and Georgie are now police officers with power. They have the freedom to choose good over evil, and yet instead of doing the right thing by not abusing Alex as he had abused them, they beat Alex after he is released from prison. So the question is not whether Alex has the power to choose good over evil, because he does have the power to choose good over evil. The real question is whether Alex or any man left to his own free will choose good over evil without being forced to do so. For if the Ludovico treatment is an artificial means of suppressing Alex's true nature, forgiveness, empathy, and kindness, or artificial means of defeating the natural inclinations we are all born with, as there are no laws that I know of that punish people for showing compassion, empathy, and kindness towards each other. Laws and penalties for breaking laws are designed to restrict us from expressing our natural inclinations towards evil, violence, and lying, as Alex does in order to get out of being punished in prison. Again, we come full circle. Can man with free will be trusted to be good on his own? Or are we only capable of being good when we are being watched, rewarded, or punished? In A Clockwork Orange, the criminal justice system punishes Alex DeLarge by stripping him of his freedom and power to choose between good and evil. Whereas prison punishes him for what he does, the Ludovico treatment punishes Alex for what he is, a human being, by punishing him for the natural impulses he was born with, the impulses to commit evil that we are all born with. Those who speak out against oppression are often on some level oppressors themselves. Take A Clockwork Orange, for instance. The prison priest opposes the Ludovico experiments because he believes that goodness is chosen and comes from within. The prison priest also believes that men who cannot choose right or wrong for themselves are not men. The prison priest is a hypocrite because he has a problem with the fact that the Ludovico aversion therapy forces convicts to be good, but he does not have a problem with prison guards forcing those same convicts to be Christians. The priest himself uses scare tactics on the convicts, warning them that they will spend their entire lives in prison and burn in hell if they don't turn their lives over to God. But as hypocritical as the priest is in this regard, he is not the only hypocrite in The Clockwork Orange. There is Mr. Alexander, who opposes totalitarianism in the government. However, when it comes to class, he believes that the common people, or the people beneath him, need to be led, driven, and pushed by people like him into making the right decisions. He saw Alex as a victim that the minister wanted to use for political advantage. When the victim was someone else, in this case the cat lady, Alexander had the luxury of favoring criminal reform. But now, after finding out that he and his dead wife were also Alex's victims, Alexander's Catholic view of criminal reform quickly evaporates.
Try the wine.
After undergoing the Ludovico treatment, Alex's natural impulses towards evil compels him to be righteous. By contrast, we see Alexander's natural impulses towards righteousness compel him to be evil when he finds Alex on his doorstep after he is beaten by Dim and Georgie, who have since become cops. Alexander does not know right away that Alex is responsible for breaking into his home and leaving him a cripple in a wheelchair. Initially, Alexander wants to be a good citizen and sees Alex as a victim.
Try the wine.
However, when he overhears Alex in his bathtub whistling, singing in the rain, the song reminds Alexander of the men who broke into his home. He could not see their faces then because they had on masks. But Alexander remembers one of the men singing the song, the poor helpless victim of both the state and brutal cops who stumbled to Alexander's doorstep in the middle of the night. Alex was the same man who had beat him and raped his wife. As prison and the Ludovico treatment controlled Alex against his will, the tune, Singing in the Rain, now controls Alexander against his will. But whereas Alex does not have the power to choose between good and evil, Alexander does have the power to choose between good and evil. Alexander can forgive Alex, but instead seeks revenge. What makes a rainy day good or bad, or anything that we label good or bad? It's not the rain, but the experience that we associate it with. Take Alex DeLarge, linking the good feelings he gets from hearing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony with committing acts of evil upon others. During the Ludovico treatments, doctors played Beethoven's Ninth Symphony in the background, show him films of human atrocities, and inject him with a pain-inducing drug, all at the same time. After being treated at the Ludovico facility, Alex associates Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the song that once made him feel good, with the pain, terror, and death-like paralysis he experienced when he heard the song in the background during the treatments he received at the Ludovico facility. By comparison, when Alex sings Singing in the Rain while beating Mr. Alexander and raping the man's wife, this happy song becomes painful to Alexander because of the traumatic experience that he associates the song with. Something that is good in one instance can be bad in another instance, because things that are good for us feel bad to us, and the things that are bad for us feel good to us. Righteousness in and of itself is not natural, because righteousness is difficult, and we are by default drawn to things that are easy, even if those things which are easy are also evil, which we then rationalize until they seem like righteousness. Screenwriter Terry Southern gave Stanley Kubrick a copy of Anthony Burgess's 1962 novel A Clockwork Orange. However, Kubrick was developing his next project, Napoleon Bonaparte, and set the book aside. Kubrick's wife read A Clockwork Orange and was so excited by it that she persuaded Kubrick to read it, after which he too was excited by the book's characters, language, as well as its political, social, psychological, and philosophical twists and turns. Kubrick wrote the script and based it on Anthony Burgess's shortened U.S. version of the novel. Having read the script to prepare this film analysis, I can say that the script and film are virtually identical. In an interview for A Clockwork Orange in Saturday Review, Kubrick described the film as a social satire dealing with the question of whether behavioral psychology and psychological conditioning are dangerous new weapons for a totalitarian government to impose vast controls on its citizens and turn them into little more than robots. According to Kubrick, the film's title, A Clockwork Orange, suggests something that is organic on the outside and mechanical on the inside. To crystallize this metaphor in the film, Kubrick sped up the sex scene involving Alex and the two girls in order to make them look mechanical. Visually, A Clockwork Orange is a continuation of the wide-canvassed, all-encompassing style of his preceding film, 1968's 2001: A Space Odyssey, even though both films used different cinematographers, Jeffrey Unsworth and John Alcott respectively. The space between the characters relative to space itself in each scene of A Clockwork Orange disconnects the observer. We are not seeing Alex as a person, as crop scenes would diminish his surroundings relative to him. Instead, we see Alex and his surroundings equally, as if observing a microorganism in a petri dish, seeing him and his environment as two equal halves of a whole, inseparable and indistinct from each other. In this way, Alex is transformed into a metaphor of the world he inhabits in the film. A Clockwork Orange was rated X when it was released in the US in 1972. So explicit were the film's depictions of sex and violence that the National Catholic Office for Motion Pictures gave the film a C, or condemned rating. A Clockwork Orange was a hit with U.S. filmgoers, grossing more than $26 million from a $2.2 million budget. The film divided American critics. For instance, Vincent Canby of the New York Times praised Kubrick's film as a brilliant and dangerous work, while Roger Ebert, who happens to be my favorite film critic, condemned A Clockwork Orange as an ideological mess. A Clockwork Orange did not win any Academy Awards, although it was nominated for 4 awards. Best Director for Stanley Kubrick, Best Film Editing by Bill Butler, Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay for Stanley Kubrick. Again, this oversight of a film many consider to be one of the greatest films ever made makes sense considering the controversy the film generated for its unprecedented depictions of graphic violence and sex, both of which provoked backlashes in America and abroad. In America, the National Catholic Office for Motion Pictures banned Roman Catholics from seeing the film, while in the UK, British authorities cited the film in a number of high-profile criminal cases. There, a prosecutor linked a 14-year-old male accused of killing a classmate to A Clockwork Orange, and the British press also blamed a rape incident on A Clockwork Orange in which attackers sang "Singing in the Rain," the song Alex sang as he raped Mr. Alexander's wife in the film. And while A Clockwork Orange did manage to win a Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation in 1972, 2 New York Film Critics Circle Awards for Best Director and Best Film in 1971, as well as other awards. It was fortunate that the film won anything at all, considering how shocking it was at the time relative to the vanilla films that preceded it. Like all of Stanley Kubrick's films, A Clockwork Orange was so far ahead of its time that it will always be tomorrow's film. If you like this film analysis of A Clockwork Orange, please leave a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe to my channel, The Godfather of Cinema. I'd also appreciate if you would hit the bell to be notified of film analysis and film reviews I will be uploading in the future. Thanks again, and see you soon with another video.